Have you ever wondered why stubborn belly fat seems impossible to lose, even when you're eating well and trying your best? What if the real reason has very little to do with willpower, strict diets, or counting every calorie, and instead comes down to one overlooked moment that most people never pay attention to? For decades, we've been told that losing fat is simply a matter of burning more calories than we consume. Eat less, exercise more, and the weight should disappear. It sounds simple, but if it were truly that straightforward, many more people would already have the results they're working so hard for. New discoveries in metabolism are revealing that this old way of thinking doesn't tell the whole story. Once you understand what's really happening inside your body, it completely changes how you look at fat loss. Your body isn't a machine that performs simple math. It's a living biological system that follows natural rhythms every single day. These internal cycles have existed for thousands of years, long before calorie tracking apps, fitness programs, or late-night food deliveries. When those natural rhythms are respected, your metabolism works efficiently. When they're constantly interrupted, your body quietly adapts. Instead of loudly signaling that something is wrong, it begins conserving energy. Fat burning slows down, stored energy becomes more valuable, and excess fat, especially around the belly, is protected rather than used. This isn't your body working against you. It's simply doing what it was designed to do. Here's what many people never realize. The biggest obstacle to fat loss often doesn't happen during the daytime. It happens at night. There is a specific period every evening when your hormones decide what your body will spend the next several hours doing. Will it focus on repairing tissues, restoring balance, and burning stored fat? Or will it continue storing energy and defending the fat it already has? That decision happens during a surprisingly small window that most people completely overlook. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this window matters so much, how one everyday habit can interfere with it, and why working with your body's natural clock may make fat loss feel easier without requiring more exercise or stricter dieting. If you've ever felt discouraged because the scale refuses to move, or your waistline stays exactly the same despite making healthy choices, there's something important to understand. This isn't about lacking discipline. It doesn't mean you're lazy, inconsistent, or not trying hard enough. Your metabolism isn't damaged and your body isn't fighting you on purpose. In reality, it's responding exactly the way human biology was designed to respond. For most of human history, our ancestors lived according to daylight and darkness. Food wasn't available around the clock, and the body learned to expect certain patterns. It knew when energy would likely arrive and when it wouldn't. Those predictable patterns allowed the body's internal systems to function efficiently. Today, those natural signals are constantly disrupted. When your body no longer receives a clear break from eating, it shifts into a protective state. Fat burning becomes less important while energy storage becomes the priority. This happens automatically without you even realizing it. That's one reason why simply eating healthier or cutting calories often works at first, but eventually reaches a frustrating plateau. Your metabolism responds to much more than the amount of food you eat. It also pays close attention to when you eat. If meals and snacks continue late into the evening, your internal clock never receives the message that it's time to switch into overnight recovery mode. The issue isn't always overeating. Sometimes it's simply that your body never gets enough uninterrupted time away from digestion. Everything begins with one ordinary event that's incredibly easy to ignore. The moment you finish your final meal of the day, not when you go to bed, not when your alarm rings the next morning, but the moment your body realizes that no more food is coming. That signal tells your metabolism it's time to begin changing gears. This isn't about following an exact clock time or obeying a rigid rule. It's about giving your body enough quiet time before sleep so it can complete digestion and prepare for the important metabolic work that happens overnight. When your last meal happens earlier in the evening, digestion has time to progress naturally. Blood sugar rises after eating, insulin carries nutrients where they're needed, and eventually, insulin levels have the opportunity to come back down. That period between your last bite and bedtime is incredibly important because it influences which metabolic direction your body takes for the rest of the night. If eating continues too close to bedtime, digestion remains active and your body stays focused on processing incoming energy. If no more food arrives, an entirely different sequence begins. Keep in mind that this doesn't mean everyone needs to stop eating at exactly the same hour. Every person's schedule, lifestyle, and daily routine are different. What matters most is creating a consistent gap of several uninterrupted hours where your digestive system isn't constantly receiving more calories. That quiet window creates harmony between your daily habits and your hormones. Once this rhythm becomes consistent, your body can spend the night working with you instead of against you. After your final meal, your body enters an important transition period. For the next few hours, digestion continues doing its job. Glucose enters the bloodstream, and insulin helps move that energy into your body's cells where it can be used. This process is completely normal and essential for good health. Insulin itself isn't the problem. The real issue is how long insulin is required to stay active. Most people only think of insulin as the hormone that controls blood sugar, but it has another equally important responsibility. It also acts as one of the body's primary storage hormones. As long as insulin levels remain high, your body stays focused on storing energy instead of burning it. In other words, while insulin is actively managing nutrients from the food you've just eaten, accessing stored body fat takes a back seat. That's why late-night snacks, desserts, or even foods considered healthy can quietly interfere with fat burning. Every time more food comes in, insulin stays elevated longer, delaying your body's ability to switch into fat-burning mode, sometimes well into the middle of the night. But when you stop eating earlier in the evening, the process unfolds very differently. As digestion finishes, insulin gradually drops back to normal, blood sugar stabilizes, and your metabolism begins shifting away from processing incoming calories. Instead of focusing on storing energy, your body starts concentrating on maintenance, repair, and recovery. It may not feel dramatic, and you probably won't notice anything happening, but internally, this is a major metabolic turning point. While many people unknowingly keep extending the digestion phase by eating late, your body is preparing for the next stage of its overnight routine. As insulin slowly decreases, another powerful hormone begins to take center stage. And this hormone doesn't just influence how well you sleep, it also plays an important role in determining how your body manages energy throughout the night. As evening progresses and darkness settles in, your brain naturally begins producing melatonin. Most people recognize melatonin as the hormone that helps regulate sleep, but its job goes well beyond simply making you feel tired. Melatonin also influences your metabolism after sunset. Here's something that's rarely discussed. Throughout human evolution, melatonin and insulin were never designed to be highly active at the same time. Our bodies evolved to eat during daylight hours, while nighttime was meant for recovery, restoration, and conserving energy. When melatonin levels rise, your body receives a signal that it's time to slow down. At the same time, insulin sensitivity naturally decreases, meaning your body becomes less efficient at processing large amounts of incoming sugar. This is exactly why eating late in the evening can create problems. When food arrives after melatonin has already increased, insulin is forced to work under less favorable conditions. Blood sugar stays elevated for longer, the body experiences a little more metabolic stress, and low-grade inflammation can increase. Over time, excess calories are more likely to be stored in the place your body readily protects, the deep fat surrounding your abdominal organs. On the other hand, when your final meal happens earlier, this hormonal conflict is largely avoided. By the time melatonin reaches its peak, insulin has already finished most of its work. Instead of receiving mixed signals, your body operates in harmony. Everything follows the natural rhythm it was designed for. In that balanced state, nighttime stops becoming something that slows your metabolism and instead becomes one of the most valuable periods for supporting healthy fat loss. By the time midnight arrives, your body has entered an entirely different metabolic state. Several hours have passed since your last meal. Insulin has returned to a low resting level. The message to continue storing energy has faded, and your body is finally free to access the fuel it has been saving. This is the stage many people never consistently experience, not because it's impossible, but because eating late repeatedly postpones it. Once insulin remains low for long enough, your stored fat becomes available as fuel. Interestingly, your body often begins by drawing from visceral fat, the deeper fat stored around internal organs. This type of fat is strongly associated with insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, and poor metabolic health. Although it's considered one of the most harmful forms of body fat, it's also metabolically active, meaning your body can use it efficiently when the right hormonal conditions are present. With no new glucose arriving from your digestive system, your liver changes its strategy. It starts breaking down stored fat and converts it into ketones, an alternative fuel source that helps power your brain and other vital organs while you sleep. This is when your body's natural fat-burning engine truly comes to life, supplying clean, steady energy throughout the night while supporting the repair and recovery processes that happen as you rest. As you sleep, your body has the opportunity to power itself using the very fat stores that many people struggle to get rid of. But this process depends on one important condition. It can be interrupted very easily. Even a small snack late at night is often enough to restart digestion, raise insulin levels again, and bring this fat-burning phase to a stop. When that happens, your body shifts back into storing and processing food instead of using the energy it already has, and the chance to burn fat is postponed until the following night. Between approximately 2 o'clock in the morning and the hours just before sunrise, your body can enter one of its most efficient metabolic states. Unfortunately, many people rarely experience this consistently because late-night eating keeps delaying it. During this period, insulin remains low, digestion has largely finished, and your nervous system settles into a calm, restorative state. With no new food arriving and no competing metabolic demands, your body can devote its energy to repair, recovery, and maintaining balance. At this point, stored fat becomes the preferred fuel source, especially the fat that can be mobilized most easily. This helps explain why people who consistently follow this natural rhythm often notice changes around their waist before other areas of the body. Your metabolism naturally targets the energy reserves that provide the greatest benefit under these conditions. What creates this powerful overnight window isn't just eating earlier. It's the combination of finishing meals with enough time before bed, getting quality sleep, and allowing your body to experience a calm, dark nighttime environment. When stress is lower and bright light is minimized, your hormones begin working together exactly as they're supposed to. Nothing has to be forced. Many weight loss strategies overlook this entirely. They focus almost exclusively on food choices and exercise during the day, while ignoring what happens during the many hours your body spends recovering overnight. The real advantage comes from allowing your biology to work without unnecessary interruptions. As the night continues, another important hormone quietly becomes more active in the background. Human growth hormone, often called HGH. Most people think of HGH only in relation to building muscle or staying youthful, but it serves another essential purpose while you sleep. It helps your body decide what should be preserved and what should be used for energy. When insulin levels are low, HGH sends a simple message throughout the body. Protect lean tissue, preserve muscle, and rely on stored fat for fuel instead. That's one reason why naturally creating a longer overnight fasting period simply by eating dinner earlier can be so beneficial. It gives HGH the opportunity to perform the jobs it was designed for, including repairing tissues, supporting bone strength, maintaining healthy skin, and encouraging your body to burn fat while protecting valuable muscle. This also explains why some mornings simply feel different. After a night where these natural processes have been allowed to run uninterrupted, many people wake up feeling leaner, lighter, or slightly tighter around the waist. That feeling isn't just the result of losing water weight. It's a reflection of your body spending the night repairing itself, redistributing energy, clearing away unnecessary waste, and reinforcing the tissues that matter most. Nothing extreme was required. You didn't starve yourself. You didn't spend extra hours exercising. Your body simply had enough uninterrupted time to complete the work it naturally performs every night when given the chance. By morning, your metabolism is operating very differently than it would after an evening filled with late-night meals or snacks. You may have gone 12 hours or longer without eating, yet instead of waking up with overwhelming hunger, many people notice something surprising. The desperate urge to eat immediately often isn't there. That's because hunger follows predictable rhythms. When your body learns that food reliably stops each evening and returns the following morning, the hormone ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, becomes more balanced. Your metabolism no longer behaves as though food shortages are unpredictable because it has spent the night comfortably using stored fat for energy.